Kirishanu,
Ano,
Spotav,
Vanu,
Lastot,
Oak,
Divrei Torah.
Laurel.
Susan Rosenstein, who most of us know and love, is being honored on March 1st at Resnick. And I know everyone's received 73 emails about this. So let my announcement be the next. She's being honored on March 1st, and I'm going to be there. Reese is going to be there. And I know a whole bunch of us will be there. She deserves our sign of appreciation. She's terrific and been with us a little bit longer than ever. So that's really good. Susan Rosenstein, March 1st. Now, on Sunday, I think it's this Sunday, 10 a.m. at Resnick, Michael Tushin and the Israeli Consul General will be speaking. Okay? So I know that Natalie will be there. If I remember correctly, I don't think Donna's going to be there. She came up with some sort of weak excuse. But Michael is president of AIPAC, which is a huge, huge, huge position, honor, and he probably knows more about Israel than Bibi. And he's also much nicer. And the consul general. So we're going to...
Stanley, it's not tomorrow. It's March 3rd.
I'm sorry?
It's not tomorrow. It's March 3rd.
March 3rd. Okay, March 3rd, 10 a.m. March 3rd, 10 a.m.
Rabbi, may I ask a question, please, about the transportation? I want to see if someone can pick me up at Weyburn by Target right there up the hill by UCLA, because I can get a driver to drive me there. That's how far I can go. It's just up the hill. I need someone to bring me to the temple and drop me back off after services, and I can come to resting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Wednesday, March 6th, so it'll be 3 days after Michael Tushin, I'm going to conduct current events class, and I have a feeling that there are going to be a lot of people who see Michael on Sunday the 3rd who are going to have all kinds of questions about it. Oh my, what does this mean? Where are we going? Where are we headed? So that's Wednesday, March 6th. Okay. Any personal matters, anything that we need to update on? Anything? I see Susie. Yes. I can't hear you, Susie. I still can't hear you. Susie! Susie! I can't hear you. Okay, that's
okay. Here I go. Can you hear me now?
Now.
Okay, just quickly. I received an email and a phone call regarding the Susan Rosenstein evening. Evidently, a lot of people are planning to go, but they're not registering on the computer. It's totally free. Don't worry about that. But register on the computer because they don't know who's coming, and they're thinking that there's not enough people going to be there.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
If I could add, the other reason people need to register is they're trying to figure out what they might have to do for parking. And if they don't know how many people are going to come, and a lot of people come, then parking will be a real problem.
It's at Resnick, isn't it?
Yes.
That Resnick?
Yes, indeed. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Anything else, personal stuff? Very good. Cindy, anything new on calendar?
No, we just had a lovely Shabbat dinner last night. We continue to have second Tuesday happy hour, and usually either the last Friday of the month or when they have children's services, we have a lovely Shabbat dinner. And we're planning a tour of the Amundsen House in Malibu for the end of March, and that should be in the Wilshire Weekly in about a week to sign up.
Super. Okay, here we go. So we are in Exodus chapter 27, verse 20. The Sedra is called Titzaveh. Titzaveh, Exodus chapter 27, verse 20, page 463.
463.
563. Who said 4? Bad.
I did.
Bad. It was 563. Okay. 563. It's close. This is one of the things. There are a few verses in Torah. Every once in a while, when I encounter them, I just know that I've spent a lot of time on these verses over the centuries. So this is one of them. Va'ata tetzaveh et bnei Yisrael. You shall further instruct the Israelites to bring you clear oil of beaten olive for lighting, for kindling lamps regularly. That is such a wild translation. It's very, very nice. It doesn't relate much to the Hebrew. And it's okay, so there's no further. You shall instruct, but that's good. Bnei Israel, let them take clear oil, shemen zayed zach, katit lamaor, beaten for lighting, for keeping lamps regularly. Well, okay. I remember the first time I heard a commentary on this, and it was so rabbi-ish that it was kind of funny. What makes the oil purest? What has to be done to the olive oil to make it pure?
Strain it? I don't know.
No, it's right there in the text. What's the word?
Beat.
Beaten.
Beaten.
So now you have this, well, all rabbis are old and have beards, but you see this old rabbi with a beard standing up on the bima saying, the olive oil can only be purified through beating. Thus, the Jewish people, in all their suffering, in having been beaten, we offer the purest light of all to God. And I suspect I've heard that sermon maybe 75, 80 times over the course of my life. But the rabbis, boy, they love when you beat the olive, the oil is pure. And so when you beat up on the Jews, our light is brilliant. It's almost like an invitation to the non-Jew. Would you please afflict us so we have pure light? But we're going to let that one go. Now, it says for kindling lamps regularly. For those of you looking at the Hebrew, where is regularly? Actually, it's not there. It is ner tamid. What is ner tamid?
Eternal light.
Eternal really says it, right? Eternal light. Eternal light. How many times over the course of a career have I taken kindergarten, first grade, second grade kids into the sanctuary? This is the Aron Kodesh. Can you all say it? Aron Kodesh. Fine. Here are the Torahs. Fine. And this is the Ner Tamid, the eternal light.
Yeah.
Rabbi, what? What happens if the life goes out? Does God leave us, or is it the end of the world? What if I've heard that question as often as one can possibly imagine. Poor little kids are frightened to death by the notion that the light must be forever. And if it goes out, we're toast. Actually, the light that's being talked about here is meant to be kindled in the evening with enough oil that it should make it into the morning. During the day, the priest will come, they'll clean out the lamps, put in fresh oil, light the Ner Tamid in the evening. So when the translator says regularly, that's what the translator is trying to say to us. Hey, folks, it's not that the Ner Tamid was eternal, but every evening, fresh oil, light it, burns through. Next evening, clean it out, fresh oil, light it. That's what the Ner Tamid was. I've always wondered whether, and I guess it's real, it's burning before the ark. It is burning, and it's nighttime. Maybe it was kind of like if the priest has to go in there or whatever, there will always be light. And maybe that's a purpose, or it could have obviously any other reason as well. Going on verse 21, Aaron and his son shall set them up, the lamps, in the tent of the meeting outside the curtain, which is over the ark of the pact, the ark of the pact, the edut, to burn from evening to morning before the eternal. It shall be a dew from the Israelites for all time throughout the ages. So, Jews, what is your obligation regarding the Ner Tamid in biblical times? What's your obligation?
Make sure it can stay lit the whole time. No, I don't.
You have to bring that oil. You have to prepare the beaten oil. That's not the job of the priest. The priest will come, clean, put in fresh, light it, ongoing every day. But the people keep the shop running. And this is not always talked about. It is a sacred duty to supply what is needed to keep the Ner Tamid burning. Now I can do a fundraising sermon here, okay? And that means increasing your dues so that the rabbis can go on vacation or whatever it is that rabbis do, okay? But pay your dues, support the congregation. It is a mitzvah. It is a key mitzvah. The job of the people is to keep the shop open and running. And it's very clear here. So it's not the priests operating alone. Here it comes. It is a partnership between the priests and the people to keep the flame burning. Okay? The sermons are obvious, but it's there. And I think it's a good lesson. There's something else here. Okay. The priests give a signal that, hey, we're running short of oil. They call up Jaime, who organizes the people to give the oil for the lamp. Hey, Jaime, we need another week's worth of oil from the people. Sure. Jaime goes into the storage shed and finds pure oil. Okay, I'll take this, and brings it to the priest. This is not acceptable. Why? Look at the requirements. Instruct the Israelites to bring you clear oil for kindling outside the ark a dew from the Israelites for all time. The rabbis say if the oil isn't prepared specifically for the task of keeping the Ner Tamid burning, you can't use it. Again, I mean, these are things rabbis talk about a lot. What is the word in Hebrew which talks about doing things with intentionality? What's the word? What's the word for doing things with intentionality? It is, pardon?
Kavana.
Who said that?
Kavanah.
Who said kavanah?
Keep
Okay, that's the word. Kavanah. It is one of the most important words in Jewish life. When you bring the oil works only if it has been prepared with the intention of doing the job that it will be doing. Kavanah. Where else, and it's big, does kavanah enter into Jewish life? Where else? Kavanah, the requirement of doing something with intentionality. Where else?
Prayer.
Pardon?
In prayer.
Who said that? Can I see a hand? Susie?
Or
Okay. Oh,
Would-
and
Would doing a mitzvah be kavanah?
not, let me just back up. Howard's comment, prayer, is there. If you come into services, and we live in a system in which the rabbis believed God was aware of prayer and prayer was important to God. You come into services, you sit there, you chat with your neighbors, you're there, you stand, you sit, and then at the end of services, you have a big oneg. There's kavanah. Whatever it is that prayer is meant to be, it has to be done with intentionality. I'm not telling tales out of school. When I would go to services Saturday morning in Jerusalem and went to a place that was part of the Hartman Institute, service was strictly Orthodox, but modern Orthodox. Women had aliyot. The heads of the conservative seminary and the reform seminary and professors from the schools would often be there. And while they're sitting, they would take out learned books and read. I never noticed this more than every week. And you know, it was like, hey guys, you know, it's good that you're studying sacred texts, but that's not the same as davening. I also attended a minyan here in LA at Beth Am. And it's a really wonderful minyan. And again, it's made up of very committed and knowledgeable people. And I attended services there because I was at that point new to Los Angeles, looking for a place to pray. And these people all knew each other, a group of 30 people. And so they broke up into small groups and chatted all during services.
Oish.
Quietly. And I am certain that they were talking about matters of Jewish significance. No, I know these people, or I came to know them. These are serious people. These are Jewish people, learned people. And I know that they weren't just talking about, $80 million for a ball player. They weren't talking about that. But kavanah was not necessarily there. Rebecca.
Is the point of intention to make you feel more religious or more spiritual?
Boy, that is not an easy question. Do you want to change the question? No. Okay. For you to let me back up a little bit. From my perspective, and I think from the perspective of a lot of people, prayer is much more beneficial to the one who prays than it is to God. There is action in prayer which attunes the spirit, the soul. I don't want to go deep into that, but you rob yourself of that if you come in and you don't have an intention of at least trying to get into whatever it was the service is trying to express. Rebecca, did I answer your question? Thank you. Thank you. I see Brad.
Yeah, Rabbi, this pure oil,
Yes.
this obsession with ritual purity, which even extends to oil that you're burning at night, this obsession with ritual purity, how are we supposed to bring that into our lives today? What do we do with this?
It reminds me of the fact that you very often ask a question directly connected to my next agenda item. And it's a little scary, Brad. Okay? The line that I have down here says, the oil burned from evening to the morning, as the priests are to be set aside and holy, so is the oil. And then you're broadening the question to, how do people live in this world? The priests are to be separate. The oil is to be separate. Pure, beaten oil. And we Jews are to be separate. There is no question that part of whatever it is that makes Judaism work is the imperative to be other than the people of the world. I didn't say better, but other than. When it says, Kadoshim Tihiyu, be holy, be other. So Brad, and I'm going to turn to Tamara now, but how do I participate in a world like that? I try to maintain my difference. I try to live a life that reflects Jewish values. And I am more than happy to be somewhat outside the norm. Tamara.
Yeah, that's really, thank you for that. I want to speak to another piece of purity and how it relates to today. The word purity, I think we can actually connect to that language very easily when we think of germs and bacteria. That what they're saying is, just as we believe that you wash your hands, your stuff, especially since the pandemic, we've become very conscious of what the ancient world would call purity. We assume that there are things that have to be eliminated with that which we need to do, eat, touch. So it's not the same, but I think in our world, that's kind of a common analog, I think.
So, though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be white as snow. You cleanse from yourself things which are the bacteria of human values. And you try to be pure in that sense, pure in the sense of spiritually clean. I like that. Susie?
Right on, Rabbi. Sorry.
My question is much more current. I'm just very curious as to how the eternal light in modern day synagogues is maintained.
Yeah. You asked a similar question last night on a different topic, but the same question. You know, how do we keep these things running? For example, what is the right shape of a ner tamid? Or you were asking last night, when you have a yortzeit, should the yortzeit be on the Shabbos after the death or before the death? We talked about that. And there's, Susie, a lot of custom and a lot of tradition in this. And communities. All right. There is this wonderful building, synagogue building in St. Paul, Minnesota. If you have nothing to do during the winter, go visit St. Paul and enjoy the snow. Now, the building was built by Jews who know what a synagogue is. And forgive me, that isn't always the case. Everything in the building was built with intentionality. Everything. So the steps leading up to the ark, 10 steps. If you're going up to the ark, 10 commandments, 10 you do that. Every aspect of the building has a Torah connection. The best part is that if you get in a helicopter and fly over the building, the sanctuary and the social halls are shaped like tefillin boxes.
Really?
I think, you know, why not? Okay, that was very, very good. I walked into this tefillin box sanctuary. There was the ner tamid. To the right, my right, stage left, my right of the ark, on the ground, a beautiful ner tamid.
Oh my goodness.
Heresy. So there it is. And shouldn't it be on top of the ark? And shouldn't it be this? And shouldn't it be that? And the answer is, there are customs and there are tradition. That building I first saw some 40 years ago is still standing. It has not been struck by God. So I'm going to assume that it's, you know, at least tolerable. Their temple, you visit synagogues and you see wonderful things. You know, I talked about North Shore Congregation Israel in Chicago. It has an ark shaped like a pen, straight up, like a pen. And when the rabbi touches the floor, so the ark opens, you understand technology. The ark opens and the Torah scrolls project out toward the congregation.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's why not? I mean, there it is. There is Temple Israel in Boston. Is heavily influenced by Reconstructionism. It never really became a Reconstructionist synagogue. It's reform, but there's a lot of Reconstructionism within the rabbinate and therefore within this very large congregation. Reese and I came in there once for Friday evening services. Do you remember, Reese? Do you remember what it was? At the beginning of services, they mechanically lowered the Ner Tamid.
Wow.
Mechanically
That sounds
lowered
so cool.
Wow.
the Ner Tamid. It reached ground level
They lit it.
and they lit it.
Oh,
And
wow.
they raised it back up. Okay?
Wow.
Okay. Again, hey, folks, there are a lot of the architecture is a great field. You can do beautiful and wonderful things. And so, Susie, there are lots of variations, loads of them.
One addendum. Is there ever a case where a family or a person has an eternal light in their home?
That's a good idea.
I have it in my home. Her name is Risa.
Oh, oh, that is so sweet.
Okay, now, thank God I mean it. Okay,
That said it all.
Really?
is that good? Can I have lunch today? Fine.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The answer is yes, and I've seen it. What does
Good.
it mean? There are many Orthodox congregations, we'd call them shtiblach, little gatherings in which there is no Orthodox synagogue within walking distance. So one individual sets up an Aron Kodesh, a Ner Tamid, and they daven there. So in that case, the Ner Tamid is in a house.
Look at Risa. She's holding up your eternal light.
Pardon?
Look at Risa.
Okay, Risa.
Light in the house.
I'm looking at everybody. Y'all are holding up my
Shake it,
eternal life.
Risa. Shake it.
Oh, Risa went to get that. Hun, can you hold it up a little bit higher? That is an antique Ner Tamid that we have had. Oh, that's great. That's great. We've had for a very, very long time. We have
Wow.
never used it as a Ner Tamid,
Oh.
but it is 19th century antique Ner Tamid, and they are beautiful. Okay, Marvin Harv, one of you.
My question is, does our intention justify our act or prayer, even though the act or prayer may be misguided?
As in, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean for this to happen. Something bad occurred.
Yeah, or even I think in the political arena, our intention is good, but our actions are misguided.
I'm not an attorney. I can tell you this, that I know that there are certain kinds of criminal acts that require intention. It shifts the category of crime if it happened by accident or it was intended.
Manslaughter versus murder.
And
Rabbi, can you tell me the name of the synagogue?
I'm thinking, which is very unusual.
Can you tell me the name of the synagogue in St. Paul, please, so I can tell my husband?
Oh, it's the St. Paul Synagogue with the tefillin boxes.
Yeah.
It's the big Reform congregation in St. Paul.
Okay.
All right. Now, Mara, I can tell you a little bit of a drosh that tries to answer your question. The story is told of a man, and this is a Hasidic story. Story is told of a man who has a child who has not learned how to speak. And the man, a good father, brings his child to Shabbos services every week. And the child sits there doing what is good and right, but is not able to speak the prayers. One Shabbos morning, congregation is gathered, the father is there with the son, and the son pulls a whistle out of his pocket. And he starts whistling. So asking your question, the kavanah, the intention, is to participate. The congregants, not surprisingly, were peeved. Get that whistle out of the kid's mouth. We're davening here, and this is wrong and it's disruptive. And the rabbi, in these stories, Hasidic stories, the rabbi is always right, which is why I love them.
Please join our amazing youth choir in these words of welcome.
What's happening? Okay.
Who's talking?
It's Barbara Levin.
Okay. So the rabbi stops the congregation from its complaining and says, all Shabbos morning, our prayers were going up and were hitting against the ceiling of the synagogue. When the child pulled out the whistle, the prayers were set free and went to heaven. So it's a great story. There are lots of nice parts to it, but it is saying that intention counts for a lot. But I have to say that misplaced intention doesn't excuse a problem. I intended to do it for this reason, but it was wrongly executed. And because I had a good intention, doesn't excuse it. Mara, did I respond to you?
Rebecca
Yeah,
Stanley, Rebecca
you did.
Stan.
I don't think it solves solves the problem, but I understand what you're saying, and it makes perfect sense to me.
Okay, Risa told me that there's something in the chat, and thank you for that, which I do not pick up. So we have Rebecca, you said something about intention and intended.
Same thing.
Yeah, yeah, maybe Steve can answer that, because I think there's a difference between the two words.
No.
Okay.
Of course, yes, there is.
Steve, may I call on you? Steve, yes.
Actually, my question was, you talk about all this fancy electricity and arcs and Torahs popping out of the wall. And some of this glitz and everything seems so far removed from a traditional Orthodox way of thinking about what can happen on Shabbat and how you act. Was it done as somehow a deliberate statement of we want nothing to do with that?
I don't know the question. I don't understand your question. I'm sorry.
My question is, you would never have a button that would open our electricity governing Torahs popping out of the wall in an Orthodox shul. on a Shabbat.
We're not Orthodox, we're Reformed.
I understand, but my question is, is this partly, is it accidental, or was it an actually deliberate statement about how we are removing ourselves from some of the Orthodox strictures in those communities?
I'm going to answer this quickly because it is a vast and important subject. To my knowledge, I have never known of ritual decisions made. The Hebrew word is lahachis, to anger or to oppose the Orthodox procedure.
I thought that's why they serve shrimp at the first Reform.
Okay. Steve, allow me. We don't want to make this. The purpose of many of the innovations and changes are to make services relevant, fresh, contemporary, attractive, and maybe even more spiritual.
Okay.
And sometimes those innovations work. I will confess to all of you, I love a good organ concert. Okay? I really do. I attended services at a monastery once in Switzerland, and I thought I was in the process of dying. The music was so magnificent. It violated everything that Orthodoxy would ask of me, and that thought never occurred to me. And when we hear Susan playing or the organist in Koreatown, it's a total violation, and I love it, and we do it because it's attractive. When Reform congregations mix milk and meat, when Reform congregations choose to not have a first morning Yom Tov service, when a Reform congregation begins a service while it's still Friday afternoon, let's say in the middle of July, these things are not done lahachis. They're done to attempt to reach and touch people and to uplift and make something better. Do they sometimes foul the nest, Steve? Yes, they certainly do. But I have never heard of anyone intentionally doing something to thumb their nose at an Orthodox procedure. There are things that some Reform rabbis do that are anathema to me. When Reform rabbis officiated weddings on Shabbos, I really don't like it. Really don't like it. But guess what? I don't think they're doing it to aggravate the Orthodox. They're doing it to be accommodating or whatever else they're thinking about. Let me just move on. There were hands. And now I don't see any hands. I know there were golden people waving at me. Okay. Oh, Risa, yes. I can't hear you, hon.
Hands go down now automatically after a few minutes, whatever it is. So you have to re-put them up. I just wanted to say that the whole thing of kavanah brings me to the V'ahavta. That's where we're told about kavanah, and that it's very important. And that's one of the few complete verses from Torah that shows up in the service.
Love the Lord your God. Do what you're doing out of love. Teach your children for this purpose. It's guided testimony. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? This is good. This is very, very good. So the people's job was to provide the wherewithal to make the service work. You might think, if you read the rest of this now, this is what goes on. After Aaron and his son shall set them up in the tent of meeting outside the curtain, it shall be a due, chukat olam, obligation all time. Now bring forward your brother Aaron and his sons from the Israelites to serve: Aaron, Nadav, Avihu, Eleazar, and Itamar, the sons of Aaron. What are we learning by implication in that line? What are we learning? The sons of Aaron have to be the ones who were consecrated for this task. I guess it's a sense of intentionality too. Aaron's 4 sons will be consecrated. They then may offer the offerings, light the lights, and do it. But just because they are sons of Aaron doesn't mean automatically that they are consecrated for the work. You have to carry out the ritual, fulfill the obligations, and receive the blessings to be able to serve as a priest. Why is that important? Why is that important to us? Sometimes Jewish people will speak up with authority about Judaism, about the Jewish people, about Israel, about all kinds of things. And what is the claim that they have to authority? I'm Jewish. I'm Jewish, so I know about Israel. I'm Jewish, so I know about Shabbos. I'm Jewish, so I know about X, Y, and Z. It is sometimes, and I have to admit this, uncomfortable for me to meet individuals, and I do meet individuals, who will tell me, but I know that Judaism says this, and I know that Israel must be this. And how do I know that? I'm Jewish. There is a place for a little bit of humility. There is a place for saying leadership comes with knowledge, intentionality, and a certification from the community that you may represent it. I know, I don't know all of you this well. I guess I know all of you. I know Tamara has her PhD. What's the point of giving a degree? You study, you read. Who needs a PhD? Who needs the letters? What do the letters mean? Tamara, do you want to, does it mean anything? What does it mean?
It means that, as you said, there has been a communal process, which is what we call accreditation, that says this person has studied and is knowledgeable in subject X. Of course, doesn't mean I can talk about medicine, but I can talk about subject S, and presumably I have done some work on it. So I think it doesn't mean I'm smart, doesn't mean anything of that sort, but it does mean I have demonstrated certain skills in a community-sanctioned setting.
And this is recognized. By the way, I'm not complaining. I'm in a good mood today. I'm sorry, but let me complain again. I am a PhD neurosurgeon, and I believe that this weight loss drug is really important. Forgive me. No. If you want to talk about neurosurgery where you got your PhD, fine. give me a break. Don't come on a commercial on television and use that certification to give you the right to, I don't know what. Okay? So Aaron's sons have to be certified, sanctified, consecrated, and it's not enough to say, my dad is the high priest, right? My dad is the high priest, so I'm telling you, this pig is kosher. Maybe not. Okay, I see Howard, I see Donna.
I don't really, in my experience, don't believe that a PhD is even qualified to speak, typically, given the process, about anything much except their ability to produce a document under instructions.
We're going to take that as a personal, cynical aside, totally surprising, and say, I disagree with you.
But some of them are pretty good, but generally speaking, the process is that I've seen is pretty narrow.
Okay, unfortunately, Howard, I think you know what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
to respectfully really disagree. Okay, I get it, and I get it. Okay, Donna?
Yes, Rabbi, I want to humbly say Cal Best only accepts auditions for people from Juilliard, and they accepted me anyway after they heard that I had a disability and musically inclined to play for their veterans. And I sat down to piano in 10 minutes and composed 2 songs instantly. I didn't go to Juilliard, I couldn't afford it, but there are gifts that God gives out, and I'm grateful for that. And you're a gift to you and Risa, and everybody is a gift to my life. Thank you, Rabbi.
Yeah, by the way, I make good sandwiches and good salads. I am not qualified to call myself a chef. Not nearly. And so, we have to be careful about that. Okay, okay. The rabbis, the commentaries will say that after the high priest Aaron with his 4 sons were anointed,
generally, I don't think God is in the silence.
Their children,
The beautiful sounds that fill this room, whether it's heat or shrieks of delight, or just the sound of holding your child close to you and hearing their breath a little bit more loudly.
I don't know where this is coming from.
On page 34, let's
Barbara Levin.
The beautiful, holy, sacred noises.
Barbara, mute.
Okay. Okay. So the sons born afterward to Aaron, or the sons born to his sons, are not automatically priests until they are consecrated. And last comment I want to share with you, which would open up a large, happy conversation. The garments which are talked about now are called holy. Are called holy. I don't know. I think I'm going to go stick my head in a toilet and flush it afterwards, but okay. What makes the garments holy? What makes a tallis holy? What makes any garment holy in the Torah sense? And the answer simply is their function. Their function. I have seen people use a talit or other ritual garb for artistic purposes, put them in collages or stuff like that. It bothers me but they are not being used as ritual objects. They're being used as visual objects. And they are not, therefore, by traditional understanding, holy. The holiness comes out of the use. What takes a building and make it a synagogue? The purpose. That's what we use it for, right? Holiness is something which has to be gained and attributed and can therefore be removed. There even, and I'm not going to go into it now, how do you deconsecrate a synagogue building? There's actually a process. There's actually a process. And mainly, it involves removing the overt purpose. We're going to stop here. Oh, what does this say? I think I saw something from Hannah. What did she say? Oh, I've been trying to chat her and let her know to stay. Oh, okay. Thank you. We are well cared for. And Hannah go, thank you very much. I'm going to move now to Kaddish and to do that with you. Just to say, God, do I look forward to these days. Thank you for being here, and thank you for Shabbos, and thank you for Torah. Thank you for the kavanah of coming Shabbos morning and making this work. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're going to get ready for those who have passed away during the past month: Paul Beck, Minu, Sihati, Berlani, Leonard Lottie First, Shelley Hauser, Melvin, a Kroll writer, Shirley Lundy, Sarah Samray, Arlene Schaefer, Patty Silver, Jessica Sobel, Paula Sunshine, Ida Tannenbaum. And the names of those whose yortzites have occurred during the past week: Salva Bahar, Lionel Bell, Joyce Bergman, Helen Bernard, Jerry Bernstein, Matilda Bernstein, Lawrence Max Block, Anne Natriba Brock, Thelma Schiesel, Jenny Chortek, Betty Ann Dancer, Sam Davis, Gerald William Elkins, Jean Engel, Trudy and Stover, Edward Fenton, Haskell Fleischer, Constant Foley, Evelyn Fox, Senta Fox, Celia Goldman, Jack Goodman, Rhoda Goose, Lillian Ansel Gottlieb, Rose Gottlieb, Edward Greenberg, Sam Hallam, Diane Hirsch, Arnold Holstein, Sarah Dell Hultmark, Sharon Jaffe, Dolores Jane, Baird Campbell Jones, Kiki Kelrod, Norman Klein, Sylvia Salita Krausen, Janina Lauterbach, Gerald Laxer, Gerald Levitt, Leslie Leventhal, Thelma Levin, Sarah London, Sarah Mankoff, Paula Merenberg, Joseph Mason, Michael Melvoin, Robert Miller, George Mincer, Merle, Holly Model or Modell, Arthur Nadell, Ida Noensen, Hazel Ormiston, Irving Ostra, Arnold Palmer, Robert Van Petten, Pauli, Parviz Bernazar, William Polip, Dennis Price, Bertie Fay Raff, William Reed Jr., Evelyn Reb, Susan Richmond, William Rosenberg, Irving Rothenberg, Saul Rock, Irvin Sachs, Ida Saltzman, Leonard Sobolski, Sarah Susan Shaw, Buddy Schreier, Sanford Sigaloff, Francis Silverman, Joseph Silverstein, Louis Silverstein, Nachma Silverstein, Sheldon Silverstein, George Simon Jr., Miriam Sloan, Michael Smukler, Saul Spiegelman, Henriette Stern, Clara Stovitz, Nicole Catherine Sukoyecki, Henry Sussman, Etta Tamkin, Sylvia Taylor Belatush, Gerald Waller, Gordon Waller, Margaret Warsowski, Aaron Weiner, Etta Weissman, Hyman Michael Wynn, Michael Witzenhausen, Libby Wolf, Bernard Yeager, Harold Zlotnick. If there are other names to be remembered at this point, I ask that you speak those names out loud or in your hearts. We remember as well those who died in defense of the United States, those who died in defense of the state of Israel, those who died through senseless acts of horror and terror, those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. I apologize for names that I misspelled. We join together now in Kaddish. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'almad Ra Irute, V'amlich Malchute, V'chayechon Uvyomechon, U'v'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala Uvizman Kariv, V'yikru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mavarah, Le'olam Le'omnei Almaya. Yitbarach, V'yitar, V'yitramam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, Aleh, V'yitalal, Shmei D'Kudishah, Richu, Le'ela Min Kol Kerfcha, Shivata, Tushbachata, Nechamata, Damiran B'alma, Yehi Shlomo Rabba, V'chayim, Yal Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. Oshem Shalom B'imromav, Ya'aseh Aleinu Yal Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. May God, who makes peace in the high places, make peace in our hearts, make peace in our homes, make peace in the household of Israel, make peace among all the families and nations of earth. And let us say,
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Love you. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Shalom.
And
Bye.
Shabbat Shalom.
Sunday night.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Bye, my
Have
sissy
a
brothers.
wonderful week.